One thing I noticed when you were doing that is that you started glancing over at him. You got to really pretend like he's not here.
Yeah, I'm not here.
Who's not here?
Me.
He's telling a joke.
Oh, you have a brother?
No, he's a non-existent cameraman.
Oh,
I'm just.
don't look at the cameraman?
Right.
Okay. Don't drink the beer.
And don't drink the beer.
And I don't know why, but almost all the time my mother never gave me lunch money and almost never fixed me a lunch, because if you had breakfast, we always had a full breakfast, and she got a fixed breakfast. If you had breakfast at 7:30 or 8, and you got home at 2:30 in the afternoon, you didn't need a lunch period. I mean, that may have been her thought. You can eat something when you get home, which is, I don't see anything wrong with that. But the fact that many times the teacher in I think it was the 6th grade, she would see me sit in the lunchroom watching the kids eat. I didn't have a sandwich and I didn't buy lunch. So she figured out a project for me to build outside of the glass that went all the way down to the floor outside the room, every lunch period for weeks, maybe months. I would go out there and I would mix up concrete with pallet and everything, and I would make roads and bushes and little bitty cars, and I made sort of a city right outside of the for display right outside of the classroom. In that particular class, we had reading, writing, arithmetic, art, everything. She taught everything. So since I had a knack for art, I made an oil painting, and it was a snow scene with a house that I copied it from a Christmas greeting card. But I made a picture, and I'm not telling you the picture was good enough to sell for 25 bucks. I'm just telling you she bought it for 25 bucks. So you figure it out. It was a sympathy thing. I'll buy this kid's picture for 25 bucks. I can't give him 25 bucks, but I can buy his picture.
Which is a lot of money back then.
It was, quite a bit. In the 8th grade, I joined the band because I played football in the 7th grade. I messed up my knee bad, even though I got the only touchdown we had that year. I got clobbered bad and messed up my knee, so I couldn't play football anymore. So I joined the band, and they needed a band leader to lead in parades and on the football field and everything. And the school had, I have pictures of it, I'll give you. They had a tall, big white hat about this tall. And the school, and it wasn't adjustable, like the fit. So, and the school couldn't afford to buy another one. They're very expensive. So the band director lined up 3 of us, and the hat fit me best. And this is a true story. It had nothing to do with your ability to twirl batons, and I had to learn the baton twirling and stuff later, but I was drum major because of the hat fit.
It was the right
Can you
size.
imagine anybody using that this day and time? They'd buy another hat, wouldn't they? I mean, in the Church of God yearly had a thing that was called a camp meeting in someplace in Georgia near Atlanta. During that time, they had a lunch stand that was right near a huge parking lot, let's say as big as a regular Walmart parking lot. And in this parking lot, we noticed that there was a brand new Buick, the same color, same make and model, 4 doors, I think it was green, one in one end of the parking lot and one in the extreme end of the parking lot. We decided that the right thing to do that particular afternoon while the church service was going on, we would switch these cars. Cars were easy to start. Nobody locked their doors back then. And cars were easy to start with a penny. So I got underneath so we switched these cars. I got underneath the dash. It takes 2 people. I would start the car and switch the penny, and Indian would drive them. And so we took one car and we switched them. We put one on one end and one on the other end in the same exact parking place, and they had a briefcase in the back seat. We even took the briefcase and put it in a different car. And then it was an hour or so before the church meeting was over, so we went up to the snack stand and just hung around where there was like 3 or 4 phone booths. And no cell phones back then. 3 or 4 phone booths, and we saw these guys come out, because they both came out at the same time, and went to their cars, and they put their ignition, and the cars wouldn't start. They couldn't get the key to turn. So first one guy came up to the phone booth, but we were standing there near, and we could hear what he said. He called the dealer where he bought the car and explained to them that the key wouldn't work in the ignition, and he didn't understand it. And while he was still on the phone, the other guy came up to use the phone and heard him talking. And so they got their heads together and decided, well, maybe I parked on that end instead of that end. So they convinced themselves that they really parked where they didn't park. They got in their right car and drove off. I never know what happened after that, or what happened to the briefcase. But the next day, the general overseer, which was the title for the head preacher for the state, called us in his office, and he chewed us out because the girl at the lunch stand turned us in. My father and I went down to the convention. We're sitting near the back because he has to get out early and go to work before the thing's over. And so we're sitting there, and they have 1 or 2 people in the contest have already gotten up there and sang. And he says to me, when are you scheduled to come up? And then I have to tell him, well, I didn't sign up. And he was, I'm not going to use the term upset, I'm going to use the term disappointed. He never was upset. So he kept nudging me to go back there. Maybe they can still get you on. This thing is just starting. Went back there, and I saw the master of ceremonies, and I went up to him and I told him that I would like to sing a bass solo. And he said, well, did you sign up? I said, no. And he's, I don't know, have you got a piano player? And I said, well, no. And Eva May Lefebvre was nearby, and she said, well, I'll play for him. So I'm sitting there for about, I'm going to exaggerate, 4.5 seconds, and he goes, no, I'm putting you on next. Because I can't put a bass solo on last. You have to have a group on last. I mean, it just doesn't work out, a bass solo last. So I walk back there, and I want to sing, and I'll play for you, and you're on next. It was all that fast. I got up there, and I did the Jericho Road, and then they had an applause meter type thing. Then I got called back for an encore, so I did the same song again. I didn't try to go for another one, because I didn't know another one at the time. And then they had the final meter thing, and they called the last 3 of us out for first, second, third place, and I came in second place. It won $50, and I bought art supplies with it. Oil painting, an easel, stuff like that. A friend of mine had joined the Navy that I went to high school with, so I figured I would join the Navy as well. So I went up there and talked to the Navy recruiter, and they were about ready to close up shop, and he says, come back tomorrow morning. He says, I got somewhere to go, and I'll sign you up tomorrow morning. I didn't need a sales pitch or anything. I just going to join the Navy. So I go up the next morning. Let's say they're supposed to open at 9 o'clock. I get there about 9:15, and I'm sitting on a bench outside of these offices waiting on them to open up, and I sit there, and pretty soon it's about 5 till 9, and the Marine recruiter comes in, and he opens his door and says, hi, how you doing? He walks in, and I'm still sitting there, and about 5 minutes after 9, nobody else is there. The Coast Guard or the Army, nobody else there, just the Marine guy was there. They was all supposed to open up at 9 o'clock. And so he sticks his head out the door and says, you want a cup of coffee? And, yeah. So I went and had he says, what are you waiting on? I said, I'm waiting on the Navy guy to get here. He says, well, he says, he's always late. He says, you might as well come in here and have a cup of coffee. I said, okay. So that's how I ended up in the Marine Corps.
My favorite kind of question.
When you get through with all this taping and stuff we're doing today, is your motive to take this to the same publisher that publishes Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and get an $8 million advance on the book? No? I think it would be more interesting in their life. I mean, it would sell better, wouldn't it?